The Second World War, a conflict that reshaped the course of human history. A war of unimaginable scale, fought across continents, in the skies, and on the seas. It was a global struggle unlike any before, with nations mobilizing millions of soldiers, civilians enduring unimaginable hardships, and entire cities reduced to rubble. It was a battle not only of armies, but of ideologies. On one side, the Allies, led by the United States, China, the Soviet Union, and France. Nations united by their fight against tyranny. On the other, the Axis powers, a coalition led by Nazi Germany, Imperial Japan, and Fascist Italy, aiming to dominate the world under their brutal ideologies. In 1937, Japan launched a full-scale invasion of China, marking the beginning of an era of aggression in the East. Japan's imperial ambitions extended across the Pacific, setting the stage for a global confrontation. By 1940, Nazi Germany had gained considerable territories. Poland fell in 1939, followed by the swift invasions of Denmark and Norway. The German war machine continued its dominance, overwhelming the Netherlands, Belgium, and France with lightning-speed blitzkrieg tactics. Europe was on its knees as Hitler's ambitions stretched further east. In June 1941, Nazi Germany launched Operation Barbarossa, the largest military invasion in history. Over 3 million Axis troops stormed into Soviet territory, aiming to crush the Red Army before winter set in. Initial victories saw the fall of cities like Kiev and Smolensk, but the brutal Russian winter and fierce Soviet resistance turned the tide of battle. This invasion would become the turning point in the war, deciding the fate of the Eastern Front. On December 7, 1941, Japan launched a surprise attack on Pearl Harbor, crippling the U.S. Pacific Fleet and drawing the United States into the war. The assault was swift and calculated, a devastating blow aimed at forcing the U.S. to its knees before it could enter the war. But the attack had the opposite effect. It awakened a sleeping giant. Within days, the United States declared war on Japan. In response, Germany and Italy declared war on the United States, fully cementing America's place in the global conflict. In June 1942, the tides of war in the Pacific were about to change. At the Battle of Midway, the United States dealt a crippling blow to the Imperial Japanese Navy. After breaking Japanese codes, American forces set a trap. Over the course of 4 brutal days, 4 Japanese aircraft carriers were destroyed, forcing Japan onto the defensive. The era of Japanese expansion had come to an end, and from this moment forward, the Allies would begin pushing back, island by island, towards Japan. Meanwhile, on the Eastern Front, Nazi Germany's fate was being sealed. The Battle of Stalingrad, fought between August 1942 and February 1943, became the bloodiest battle of the war. Over 1 million soldiers perished as Soviet forces encircled and crushed the German Sixth Army. Hitler's ambition to conquer the Soviet Union crumbled. From this point on, Germany would be on the defensive, slowly losing ground as the Red Army pushed westward towards Berlin. June 6, 1944, Operation Overlord. The largest amphibious invasion in history. Over 156,000 Allied troops stormed the beaches of Normandy in a daring assault to liberate Nazi-occupied France. Despite heavy resistance, the operation was a success. The Nazis were forced into retreat, and the liberation of Western Europe had begun. D-Day marked the beginning of the end of the Third Reich. But what if? What if it didn't happen that way? What if the Axis powers had won? What if Japan won the Battle of Midway, the Nazis won the Battle of Stalingrad, and the Allied powers were forced to retreat from the D-Day invasion? How would the world look today under their rule? How different would our lives be? Had the Axis powers emerged victorious, the world we know today would be unrecognizable. The United States, crippled by repeated attacks and cut off from European allies, would have been forced into an uneasy peace or full occupation. Nazi Germany, having secured dominance over Europe, would have imposed its ideology across the continent. In this world, democracy would be a relic of the past. Education would be dictated by the state, shaping minds to serve the needs of the Reich and the Empire. Technology and industry would have advanced under strict military oversight, prioritizing weapons of war over innovation for the betterment of mankind. Dissent would be met with brutal suppression, as secret police forces ensured absolute obedience. For the people living under Axis rule, daily life would be dictated by strict hierarchies, racial policies, and total state control. Resistance movements would exist, but they would be fragmented and hunted relentlessly. The dream of freedom, once taken for granted, would exist only as whispers in the shadows. The world would be reshaped, not by peace, but by the iron grip of those who sought dominance at all costs. History itself would be rewritten to serve the victors, ensuring that no memory of the past could challenge their rule. Those who dared to question or resist would vanish, their stories erased from existence. The future, once filled with promise, would become a stagnant cycle of oppression and control. In this alternate timeline, history is rewritten, and the cost of victory is absolute power.